Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife, and we'd like to welcome you to TerreDice.
And today we're taking a look at Star Wars Villainous Scum and Villainy.
Yeah, so there is a huge lineup in the Villainous universe, but this is the first expansion to the Star Wars Villainous universe, and I'm so excited to dive in with these 3 new characters. So if that sounds like something you want to play, then just keep watching. So a lot of you might be familiar with Disney Villainous, the OG of the Villainous universe, or Marvel Villainous, which came after that. This is Star Wars Villainous, which really, I think, takes it up a notch as far as like what this game is able to do.
Yeah,
I would
this
say
is
it's
the
the
turn
most
it up to
difficult.
11.
Yeah, it's the most difficult one out of them. But what it's going to do and what it really changes up in each of them is that they're all going to have this extra space at the end of their board, which is deep space. Now you can bring one of your cards or a couple of your cards are going to be a spaceship. I think it's 2 in each deck, and you can bring that spaceship over there, and it acts as another spot where you can go and you can do these additional actions. Now what's interesting about this is that you can lay a spot there, but also the heroes can come onto the spot as well with their spaceship. So we have the Phantom here. And now what that does, it covers up these additional actions you have, so those are no longer available to you. And then this now limits your hand size to 3 cards. So that is a big one. And you can get this ship away from you by just doing a normal vanquish action, and you can take that ship off.
Pew pew.
The other one is there's an additional value that you're spending in addition to what they're calling credits, which is kind of like power.
This is probably my favorite part of Star Wars Villainous.
Yeah. So ambition is basically another spot that some cards are going to require that you pay ambition instead of a money value, which I think is really cool from like a thematic perspective, because like some things aren't going to cost, wouldn't cost real money. So those are the 2 main differences in Star Wars Villainous from the other Villainous. But now let's dive into these new characters.
Okay, so first off with these characters, we have the 7th sister. Now this is from Star Wars Rebels. If you're familiar, she is an Inquisitor who is after Jedi, and she is looking for Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra, the Force wielders. So everyone else is just kind of in her way, but she has the full army of the Imperial troops behind her. So she's got stormtroopers, she's got scout droids, recon droids, she's got Darth Vader, and she's a whole lot of fun. We also have Cad Bane. So Cad Bane, the notorious bounty hunter. Now his is all about being selfish and taking the final shot himself. So he'll line up the mark with the vanquish with his characters, but he has to take the final shot. So really kind of cool, selfish character, which I love to see this characteristics in a bounty hunter. And the last character we have, the box cover, is Boba Fett. Boba Fett is all about getting contacts who are going to give him bounties. So he's got to get the contacts first on the board. It's, the classic scum like Jabba the Hutt. And then they're going to give him bounties to go and complete. Once he tracks down those people, does those vanquishes, get those bounties, captures those people, he can bring them back and get a reward. The amount that he gets paid is different based on who is tracking the bounty.
So that was the overview of all the characters, but now I want to talk about what is new and what I really enjoyed about each of these characters.
I only need you alive. That doesn't mean in one piece. Yeah, so she's probably the one who mechanically is closest to characters we've seen before. Now, one thing that's interesting about her is her deck is very credits heavy. I need to go get lots of my my brothers and my stormtroopers and such. But she also requires spending a lot of ambition to vanquish her 3 Jedi. So for instance, Ahsoka, you have to get rid of 8 ambition when you defeat Ahsoka. And so that's to remove them from the game. Now, what I really like about 7th Sister is I don't like when characters get reset. I make progress and then that progress gets undone. With her, once you have vanquished one of these Jedi and you spend that ambition to completely remove them from the game, they cannot be brought back. So they get removed from the game, they're not in the deck anymore. It also thins out your deck to find the other ones, which I like. So
yeah, she has a lot of classic cards that I've seen in other Villainous where you have to go through your hero deck to try and bring heroes out and try and get the right ones out. But my favorite card in this deck would have to be the Stormtroopers. I think that mechanic is so cool.
Oh yeah, and I know we've seen that mechanic before in a Villainous, but I cannot remember where it was. The Stormtroopers, they may be played from your discard pile. So essentially, you can play them back to your board from your discard. So it's you have this never-ending supply of these 1/1 Stormtroopers. Yeah. They're very weak, but they're very, very good. You have an officer who gives +2 strength to all your other ones. And so if you've got both, then you're in good shape.
Yeah. So when I first started playing this character, I wasn't that familiar with the theme, but then you and I watched a couple episodes of Rebels, and now I'm like super into like the characteristics.
And
it's very
Hera,
thematic.
Zeb, the Ghost,
Yeah.
Ezra, Sabine. Yeah, you got the whole crew. It's pretty great. I'm afraid it's been you who's been foolish. Yeah, so I actually liked this mechanic a lot more than I thought that I would. So Cad, in addition to vanquishing, has to then just play one of these cards that he has. Now it's my turn. And he goes and like fires the final shot. And he has a bunch of them in his deck. And so basically his goal is like, okay, well, vanquish the person. That puts a target token on them. So he's helping line up the shot. And then he'll come in, he'll use some ambition, he'll take the target out. When he does that, he's going to collect those target tokens. Now, the targets, they can either be added by vanquishing or they can be added by some cards. There's also some fate cards that can like get out of those targets. So like targets can be removed, or Obi-Wan, for instance, if you don't vanquish him and then also kill him that turn, that target token gets removed, the elusive Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I really like that he didn't exclusively rely on having to always like use allies to vanquish the heroes that you had where you can just do it yourself and then place it on there. I also really enjoyed, I think it was Prison Bane, where you had to you showed everyone else the cards. And then,
everyone else could see the top cards of his deck.
Yeah,
like
then,
top
but
five.
he couldn't see them.
He's just your classic like Scum and Villainy. I think he fits the set really well.
All right, so the star of the show, I think, is Boba Fett. This is where like we're gonna see some brand new things that I have never seen before in Villainous. You have to bring out contacts onto your board, and then you have to assign bounties to that.
Greedo.
Now, the big one with him is that he does not have any allies. He instead has bounty hunters. But the big trick is that those bounty hunters can be moved to the top of his board, so now they're in those hero slots, and you can use bounty hunters to defeat bounty hunters to complete some of your contracts, which is like, I've never seen that before, where your own cards can go up. I mean, in Kang, you could send them over to other boards, like going into different universes, but this is the first time I've seen where you can defeat basically your allies with your allies.
Yeah, so like this one, Revenge, right here. Now, this is pretty cool. So we have our contacts. We got Jabba the Hutt, we got Darth Vader, we got Bib Fortuna. We've also got all these bounty hunters, IG-88, Bosk, and Greedo, just all your classics. But this one says, you find and place a bounty hunter for no cost on the hero side of the sector. And then you defeat a bounty hunter, a second bounty hunter, and a third bounty hunter. So he's after some revenge. So we can eventually end up with, Greedo and IG-88 up here. We can use Bosk down here to do it. So Bosk can take him out. And Bosk is cool because when used in a vanquish action, he can divide his strength to vanquish multiple targets in the same location. So I can take out IG-88 and Greedo. They're both gone. And that makes 2 progress towards this revenge, which is pretty cool. So once I complete all 3 of those things there, I will complete this bounty. Now, he's trying to complete 4 bounties. That's ultimately his objective. But also, it says for Jabba the Hutt, any bounty played to Jabba the Hutt awards Boba Fett 5 credits when complete. And he can hold up to 2 bounties. So everyone's a little bit different. Like Bib Fortuna gives credits, ambition, and cards. So they kind of like split things up.
There is like a lot going on with Boba. You really need to be skilled in Villainous to be able to do well with Boba Fett. Now, one of my favorite ones, I thought it was just really cool thematically. So when one of them has you having to defeat Han Solo at the Cloud City Dining, but he doesn't go off your board. He then has to move over to Jabba's palace. And then you defeat them there. So thematically, if you know the movies, then it works out. It's neat.
It's a cool mechanic. It's fun to play. The fate cards are, enough to slow you down, but they don't feel incredibly mean. It's like you can't, once a bounty has progress on it, it can't be removed. So once you get like partway through, it's like, okay, we're making some progress here.
He doesn't play, I guess, by the rules, because when I first started diving into him, I was like, how in the world am I going to complete all of these contracts and like keep up with like Jonathan? But it really has some cards that allow you to just like, okay, I completed this contract. Okay, I defeat that guy.
So he pays off other bounty hunters to help him and stuff.
Yeah, so it really does help out. So it feels like you have a lot to do, and you do have a lot to do, but the deck lends itself that you're able to turn through that and stay competitive with the other characters.
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure.
So that's like an overview of things we're really excited about. Now let's talk about, were there any negatives that you saw, anything that you want to address?
Yeah, so specifically the one thing that we had a really hard time with, we actually had 3 different cards that we had questions on, that we just like had no idea how to play them. And I think we just hit some edge cases that didn't feel fleshed out well enough in the rulebook. Specifically, so Cad Bane has a condition card that says, during their turn, if another player plays an ally, you may play this card. Lets you do some things. Now, it also, Boba Fett does not have allies. So it says in Boba Fett's book, Boba Fett does not have allies, instead has bounty hunters. Goes through all the rules about bounty hunters, and then at the end it says, and bounty hunters work as allies in all other ways. And so it's kind of like a sentence in the guidebook, but it was not clear to me whether like this condition card could be played when Boba Fett plays bounty hunters, or like, is this just not a useful card at all? It was just dead weight in my hand when I was playing against Boba Fett one-on-one. So I don't know the answer to that. I posted a question about it. Maybe we'll find out there. And then we had 2 cards from Boba Fett. So one of them is reveal cards until you find a bounty or a contact. Play that card immediately for free. Now, I didn't have any contacts out when I played this, and I drew a bounty before I drew a contact. Now, bounties have to be played to contacts. So I was like, I don't know what to do now. So I just kept drawing until I found a contact.
Yeah.
But I feel like that should have been a little bit more clear.
And you lost a lot of cards like turning through those.
I did, yeah. Just because I was like losing all my good stuff trying to find it. The last one was War of the Bounty Hunters. So it says, find Chewbacca, place him at Boba Fett's location. You tried to play this when you were in deep space on your ambition location at your ship.
Because there is a spot where you have an ambition, so you can play this. So I was playing this contact, and I was trying to do this, but I don't think Chewbacca can just be floating in space. I mean, I thought he could, but Jonathan did not.
Yeah, it'd be a great way to defeat him, just like send him into space.
Death.
But yeah, so it's just like there were enough things that it was like, oh, there should have been a rulebook edition about this.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple things that confused us.
I feel a little bit bloated that there were so many like different things to do with it, which is cool, but there's some edge cases that just need to be addressed in the rulebook. One thing that is different as opposed to the other Star Wars Villainous is that the characters have been changed. In the other one, they had like this speckled white spot that looked like a galaxy look to it. Now they've just been changed to those plain solid color characters, which is the choice. I don't know, some people didn't enjoy those. I particularly like them.
I know that some people like they did have like in some cases like a cotton ball kind of look where like it was closer to the surface and it looked like just a ball of white stuff. So some people complained because it was like every character looked a little bit different. But I really liked it.
It was kind of a mixed bag of whether what yours was going to look like. So I think they decided to switch it back just to give it a more like consistent look.
I love that basically the Inquisitor here has her lightsaber on the bottom that spins. I thought that was super cool. I love that they're continuing the lightsaber hilt as the base. And then Cad Bane has a super awesome hat. And you see he's got his he honestly looks mostly just like Cad Bane.
It just looks like him.
It just looks like him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And then Boba Fett, I think, his whole body is his jetpack, which is just awesome. And then his Mandalorian armor.
Now let's talk about overall art direction. For as far as the boards go, I think each of the boards have a very nice look to them. I really like this, like the captures
Very
of the
much so.
profiles that they have to showcase each of them, and then the quotes that they chose for the front of them, very thematic. The back of the cards, I always love how Villainous
does. Oh, it's so cool, the flamethrowers on Boba Fett's.
I always love how Villainous does the back of the cards and makes it so thematic. Seven Sister and Cad Bane's deck, they have a look where they pulled, there is some custom art, and there's also art that they have pulled from the TV show. Now, this works because it is also in cartoon form, so it doesn't really that noticeable. But where Boba Fett is different is that some of the cards are pulled from those original acting scenes. And then some of them you have some custom art as well.
Yeah. And this is something that you previously had a similar feeling about, like Darth Vader in the previous one. So it's like, this art looks awesome. I love these new cards. But then you have several that are like very clearly like from scenes from films with some paint over. And I think I don't know if it's like an intentional choice that we're gonna like do some directly from the film and some not. But I think like there's definitely a difference in like they come from a different world. They use different strokes, different brushes. So.
It's not my favorite style, but I know you enjoy it and you don't seem to have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's like I've seen it enough times now that it just kind of like I'm used to it, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I love.
But I do think the custom art is absolutely gorgeous. I love seeing all these colors in Boba Fett. Very beautiful. All right, so overall, I think this is a really solid expansion to the Star Wars Villainous universe. I think these are all three solid characters that will work well into the other Star Wars world. And I'm really excited that they're continuing the series. I would love to see who comes out in the future. I'm really hoping to see Darth Maul maybe eventually. That would be fun.
Oh, he's definitely a box cover villain.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, I really enjoy diving into this. It is definitely for people that are looking to up their villainous game. So if you play the original Villainous, you are a fan of Star Wars and you are looking for something a little bit more, a little bit heavier, then I think Star Wars Villainous is going to be perfect for you. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know whenever we put out a new video. And we'll see you next time.
Happy playing Star Wars!
No.
But Star Wars!